How deer use deer fences against deer stalkers. It's the red rut, and this stag is giving us the deer equivalent of 2 fingers.
Right, up at the top to the left.
Where there's smoke, there's deer. We're out with the cigar smoking hunter.
I've shot deer where wind's blowing smoke straight on them. They don't seem too bothered by it.
James Head compares airgun night vision scope options. The new Daily Telegraph environment editor, Patrick Galbraith, is the subject of this week's podcast. And David is on the Fieldsports Channel news stump. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. This is a story about fences, how they are an obstacle for deer and an obstruction for deer stalkers. The far north of Caithness has stags and bucks, and for those of us who still respect the shooting seasons, the run up to the 20th of October means the visiting stalker has the chance of a red or a seeker in the rut, and maybe a roebuck too. We set out today with Francois from Belgium and stalker John on blocks of forestry around Loch Calder near Thurso. To the deer, you may add the wildfowl. The loch is alive with widgeon.
What's the plan? So the plan was to wake up very early this morning. First time in Scotland for me, for hunting. So the plan for this morning to be able to find some stags over here. We could spot some while we were driving in the car this morning already. So we just arrived, and that will be a plan for this morning.
Francois looks after Winchester for its owner Browning International, and we're using Winchester bullets today, which is the perfect opportunity for John to remind me about the time that we went stalking and I forgot to bring the ammunition.
I should remember this.
John uses his pulsar thermal spotter to look for deer in the clearfell. We catch sight of a roebuck dashing for the cover of the forestry. From the rides in that woodland we can hear distant roaring. The red rut is underway. No whistling, it is the last week in September. The seeker rut is yet to start. It is hard to tear your eyes away from the waterfowl. For such a bleak landscape, there is an enormous amount of wildlife on this sporting estate. We follow the sounds and find plenty of signs of rutting. John catches glimpses through the thermal. It's back in the vehicle and we approach the wood from a different angle. That produces results.
So I can see a nice stag over there, a big one, with a hind, very far away from us. 1,000 is probably a good way.
Most of the animals are on open ground where we cannot shoot. There are others in the forestry on the other side of the deer fence where we can. We want those. We drive up to the ridge where we have to find a way onto them. The fence posts are 5 metres apart, and we know that there are 29 of them from the corner where they start to where the deer are standing. The undulations of the ground mean Francois will have to be less than 50 metres if he wants a clear shot. John takes us as far as he dares. Then we start crawling in. That's a problem. We can't get past the deer on the other side of the fence. Hinds are especially wily, but this one looks like she knows she is completely safe. Then it starts going wrong.
Oh shit, the hind's up, the hind's up.
Okay, where is the stag?
Up at the top to the left.
Alright!
All deer melt back into the woods. Nothing we can do except give the ground some time to settle down. So it is off for a couple of hours for the traditional Highland sport of ordinary tourism. It is now late afternoon and our cast of stags and hinds are back where they were, some on one side of the fence, some on the other.
There's one mature stag there just on the open ground coming in as hinds. Then there's another group of hinds coming down the fence line inside the woodland. They've got a stag following them down the way.
Are the stags approaching each other?
No, they're actually bypassing but going opposite directions towards each other but heading opposite, if you know what I mean. As in one's heading west, one's heading east. but they're probably about 40 or 50 metres apart.
How many hinds have they got between them?
6 in the lower group and 4 in the upper group.
We drive back up the ridge and stalk into the group on our side of the fence. Its stag looks like he wants to acquaint himself with the stag in the open ground group. This time we risk using the woodland more as cover from the group that gave us away before. The risk here is that if there are animals in the cover, we will spook them. We get into a position where we can wait for our lad to come along. Once again, the opposite happens. A stag from the lower group comes up to us. We freeze, but there is nothing we can do. He nonchalantly walks broadside to us before trotting away and leading his hinds to safety further down the hill. And that seems to be that for the forestry lot. They don't show and it's getting dark. It's been an object lesson in the problems with man-made constructions like fences. As for Francois, he goes out the following day and gets his stag. That story is for another time. And of course, we see plenty of animals as we drive out of the estate. Thank you, Francois and John. And if you have examples of horn-swoggling deer, please put them in the comments below. Plus, we have a new round of raffles for which you can buy tickets at fieldsportscompetitions.co.uk, link in the description below. Winners of September's raffles are Neil Sherman from Hampshire, who picked up the Swan Dry clothing bundle, Andrew Cervini from South Wales, the kite stabilising binos, Francis Vickery from West Sussex, the bluefin tuna fishing day trip, and Callum Lee from Tyne and Wear, the Elevenses Distillery Shooters box. Next up, the 5-strand electrification that is David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Basque has issued a warning about future possible deer laws in Scotland. The shooting organisation says that a parliamentary report highlights significant concerns over the Natural Environment Scotland Bill. Basque told the Rural Affairs and Islands Committee that the bill has significant flaws, including the introduction of mandatory training for deer stalkers and vague powers over when the Scottish Government can send in their own shooters to an estate, linked to an unclear definition of nature restoration. The committee acknowledges that deer stalking for sport, what it calls voluntary deer management, has built trust and consensus across the sector in recent years. Britain's top politically minded hunters are heading down from the hills and descending on London at the end of October. The natural hunting organisation Hunting Kind is holding a conference in Westminster on Wednesday the 29th of October 2025. It aims to debate the Westminster Government's plans for hunting sports and what the world of hunting will look like if those plans become law. Speakers will include MPs and there'll be a rural art exhibition as a backdrop. Tickets are £67.50 for the whole day of events. There's a link to the sign-up form below.
The importance of this conference is to set the scene to enable people and politicians to begin to meaningfully engage to discuss what matters in nature and wildlife management with no smokescreens. Is natural hunting cruel and unnecessary? No, it isn't. It's naturally selective, it's necessary, it's ethically sound, and it's sustainable. It's the natural order of things.
A case of police incompetence over firearms came to light this week. Armed officers from Dyfed-Powys Police turned up at the door of a shooter demanding he surrender his firearms after forgetting they'd already confiscated them. That shooter is a solicitor who plans to bring a legal action against the Chief Constable of Dyfed-Powys Police. A Derbyshire council has reinstated a fishing club it banned from a local beauty spot. Labour-controlled North East Derbyshire District Council is to reconsider its decision to withdraw the club's tenancy at the Wingerworth Lido. It initially banned Clay Cross Angling Association as part of plans to preserve the popular pond as a biodiversity hub under the Friends of Wingerworth Lido community group. It now says that angling is not the threat to biodiversity it once thought it was. Albania has reopened hunting. The Balkan nation banned hunting in 2014 and has now announced its reopening. For the last 10 years, the Albanian Hunting Federation has kept the spirit of hunting going, including game release and holding social events. To begin with, the hunters will be Albanian nationals only and aged 25 or over. A group of photo safari tourists had a lucky escape when they got too close to elephants in Botswana. The elephant attacked the party from the UK and USA who were on a canoe trip or Mokoro ride in the Okavango Delta, pushing one British woman underwater. Botswana's Department of Wildlife and National Parks told reporters that nobody was harmed and that the attack only killed a lot of expensive camera equipment. When is a sheep livestock and when is it wild? Two vets on the island of Uist want Landowner, the National Trust for Scotland, to acknowledge that the Soay sheep on St Kilda are farm animals. Hundreds of sheep starve to death every winter due to lack of grazing. The vets want the animals' numbers controlled. National Trust for Scotland and the Scottish Government say the sheep are wild animals and do not come under welfare laws that protect farm animals. A Norwegian hare hunter has saved a cow that fell down a hole. The man from the south of the country was about to step over a large hole in the ground in a spruce forest when he saw a cow looking back up at him. He called up a friend with an excavator, hauled the animal out to safety and then filled in the hole. It was the right move for that cow and it could have been worse. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. And finally, staying on farm animals, a hunter in New Zealand goes to the hill with not a dog but a goat. Gavin the goat has been training since he was a kid to join the hunt. Gavin's owner, Alicia Thomasy, says the 2-year-old loves to swap his paddock for adventures with big game in South Island. She and her partner Matt are keen hunters and she has an Instagram page where she keeps her fans up to date with Gavin's exploits. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts. Fieldsports Channel members get more. Every week there's Fieldsports Extra, our exclusive show packed with behind-the-scenes clips, interviews and a free prize draw. Plus, membership gives you access to our Fieldsports Advice Bureau for help with shooting and firearms licensing, with our in-house lawyer on your side. And with our insurance, you're covered for £5 million public liability for shooting activities across the UK, as well as legal expenses cover. Join today so we can keep the pressure on and the volume up.
Here's what's in this week's Fieldsports Extra. A Fieldsports Live, an ambulance and a healthy Dean.
Join the Fieldsports Nation, spread the word, it might save your life one day.
This week's Fieldsports Extra prize draw is for 3 different gun oils from lubricant specialist Tigris. They are the Tigris Gun Cleaner and Degreaser, the Tigris Trigger Spring and Piston Lubricant and the Tigris Wipe Down Gun Oil and Lubricant. They usually retail for £11 a can. We're giving away 3 sets of 3 cans, so we'll be looking for 3 winners in the prize draw next week. Link to Tigris below. Find out how to enter the draw to win them in Fieldsports Extra, which you can watch by signing up as a member on our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. Next, I am in Yorkshire to meet a man who combines a love of deer stalking and smoking. Think cigar smoking hunter, and you might imagine an old man in tweed with a box of Havanas. Not this one. He's a 31-year-old electrician from Manchester called James. He prefers New World cigars and he has a YouTube channel called The Cigar Smoking Hunter. This evening he is out stalking roebucks in the Yorkshire Dales.
I'm going to have a bit of a plan to hit the Clearfell. Wind's not perfect in our favour, but there's a lot of dips, so you can get quite sheltered from it. And they have been hitting that pretty hard recently, because it's a fairly new plant as well, so we have to put quite a lot of attention on that. But there is a chance could see something on the tracks on the way up, because they are quite active all day here. I mean, I've been watching it for the last half an hour, right up on the top there on new plant. There does look like some sort of movement. As I say, it's about 2,000 yards, so you can't really make out what it is, but there's something moving around there. There is reds on there, but they are very nocturnal. And we have had reports of seeker just in the wood behind us, but I've never seen them. They have shown up on some of our trail cameras, but again, they'll be last light, midnight. You're not going to see them, but there's loads of roebucks, can't move from.
Let's see if that's the case. We drive into the wood and set off up the track.
So I've just taken our time scanning it, because there's that many different dips and undulations. There'll be a deer there, even thermal won't pick it up. You'll take an extra 2 steps and then you'll see it. So you've just got to keep scanning the same area, even with a thermal, or else you're just ending up disturbing stuff, because they do like sitting in that.
This walking slowly and stopping works. He spots deer. They are a doe and a kid. It is not the doe season. He waits for them to move off without scaring them. James' aim is to get above the clear fell, sit down, scan and smoke.
If they can smell the cigar, they've already smelt you anyway. So as long as you're working in the wind, it shouldn't matter anyway. And again, I've shot deer where wind's blowing smoke straight on them. They don't seem too bothered by it. I mean, they've watched a lot of my videos. There's a few of them you'll catch it. I've got a cigar still in my mouth while I'm lining up a shot.
So you're saying Roebuck appreciate a good cigar?
Well, we'll see if one pops out in a minute.
And he's right. Mid-puff, a doe walks over a little ridge in front of us. She hears us before she smells us and spends some time trying to work out what we are before she moves off. For James, combining his pleasures adds up to more than the sum of their parts.
With a view like this, I think it goes hand in hand a lot of the time. And as I say, this time of the year, I don't do a lot of stalking with roebucks because they generally go to ground. So if I'm out, I'll be out sat like this, just watching, especially early morning, having a smoke and just seeing the light come up and then light go down. And I think it's just part of the experience, really.
Even though we see no more deer that evening, James's words sound like a recipe for happiness, as long as you like smoking cigars. For more from James, search YouTube for The Cigar Smoking Hunter or click on the link below. Thanks, James. Next up, another James. James Head from Crackshot pits the HIKMicro Alpex 4K Lite LRF against a similar scope from Pixfra.
Right, my left hand I have got the HIKMicro Alpex 4K, so this is the Lite version and the LRF version. And on my right hand I've got the Pixfra Volans 4K night vision scope. We've got this one coming in at around 639 and we've got the other one coming in around 649. So in terms of weight, this one here is a lot bulkier, a lot heavier. This one's a lot lighter, so especially on the top of your gun, feels a lot nicer to use. Makes the gun just that little bit more handleable. Well, I've had a try with both of these, basically just a little bit of pest control. So a bit of daytime hunting, nighttime hunting. I couldn't really pick a definite winner in terms of image quality, other than this made everything that little bit easier, being a little bit lighter, and obviously having that LRF. This is available with an LRF, but it's about 130 quid more. HIK definitely seem to be the leaders in the market at the moment. I think they've probably just had a grant to be able to make some better gear than everyone else currently. I think this has obviously been built off the back of the HIK Alpex 4K, so you can quite see some similarities. So you could imagine that Pixfra might well catch up and try and match something towards the HIK. But again, as I said, this technology in this one and the way it works, shoots, and worked on the gun was very much on a par to this one. The HIK may have been slightly easier to just use the actual interface on it, but once I got my head around both were just as easy. When they look at the cabinet straight away, this one stands out because you've got bright green on it, and everyone likes shiny things. So it looks big and shiny, and oh, that's exciting. But this one's nice and small, so they immediately go, oh, it's smaller, it's lighter, and it does create a conversation. We've had quite a lot more conversations in the shop with these two particular units than a lot of the other units we've had in store. The HIK has definitely been the most popular at the moment, but the Pixfra are starting to catch up.
For more from Crackshot, visit crackshot.online. Thanks, James. Now, the Daily Telegraph's new environment editor, Patrick Galbraith, formerly of Shooting Times, came to the Cartagena Game Fair Theatre in the summer of 2025 to talk to me about his latest book. Patrick is a moderate and has no time for extremists in this debate, as he explains.
I kind of think it comes back to that point of almost drawing a line under things and saying let's go forward collaboratively. And I also just have no time for people who, you know, sort of grifters who politicise the countryside for their own gain. You know, my dear friend Chris Packham, he's done that. He continues to do that. Mark Avery, who I see for lunch sometimes, I mean, he's done that. I think he's becoming more and more sensible.
He's mellowing out.
He's mellowing out. He went to Arundel and saw the grey partridge stuff they were doing there. But, you know, he went to Arundel, saw the grey partridge stuff they were doing there, and was hugely impressed. There's a guy who's written a lot about access, who's published by the same publisher as me, who went to Arundel for some research for his latest book, and he let a corvid out of a larsen trap. And he took to Twitter to post pictures of it. He said, I will take every opportunity to do this. And you're campaigning for more access to the land. You know, you're saying, I will be irresponsible at every turn. And you're also sort of inspiring your followers to be irresponsible as well. It's extraordinary. So it's like, are you actually pro-access, or are you just a political grifter? And I think where you identify those guys, they shouldn't be part of the conversation.
Thanks, Paddy. And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please visit our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, where you can click like us on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us on X and TikTok. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, or pop your email address into our weekly newsletter box, and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain, it's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and from Sutherland, goodbye.